Well, hello there, everybody. It's Scott Hastings and Andy Lindahl. Who are you looking at? Don't look at the warden. Matter of fact, you tell the warden go mind her business. Okay. This is boys going on right here.
Oh, Lord.
So yeah, what you gonna do?
Oh, Lord.
Am I causing you all sorts of problems like I usually do for my
No,
friends?
no, 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 no. No, not me. I'm used to
I'd
sleeping on the
have to see
couch.
her for it to be a problem for me.
Do not show him with the island looking how
He means like come over here.
Yeah, yeah.
She's
I'm in
got
over
some.
in a minute. Are you all decorated or what's your deal?
No, we don't. There's nothing to decorate. We still got some birthday stuff up. We've had a couple birthdays over here. Got Mother's Day coming up. You know, Mother's Day's coming up, right?
I'm aware. Okay, so let's give everybody some reminders. That's a good thing. Mother's Day is Sunday. Get it done if you haven't. So remember a couple weeks ago, you and I had on Matt Kraychick from uh, Frank the Pizza King.
Right.
Tomorrow and Saturday are their last days in business. Now, since we've had them on, and I'm not saying it's us because they've got a very loyal following, they have been crushed. They've been crushed to the point where they've had to close down at from 2 to 3 to go get more ingredients because that's how great people have been to them. So that a
Good.
way to take care of one of your own, Colorado. I don't think there's enough of that going on anymore, but they've only got 2 days left in business. Saturday will sadly be the last day of Frank's. Now, hopefully they find another location and they open back up. I'm going to swing by there, get a video, make sure everybody remembers. But if you need to make plans, go see them either tomorrow or Saturday. There'll probably be a little bit of a line because people have been great to them, but just understand you guys being patient and helping them out has been fantastic. Matter of fact, I think it's been exactly what the family needed. So awesome for you guys. And then our friends, my buddy from Lucero, you went and saw Lucero with me. They're opening for the Menzingers Sunday. So if mom needs to go to bed early or you got it all handled or whatever, go watch them at what's the big one downtown, the Mission Ballroom. Go check them out. So there you go. There's all the announcements. You got anything you need to announce?
Oh yeah, and also after Mother's Day, if there's nothing else going on, don't forget there's a game 4 in the NBA playoffs. It will be Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about this. All right. What's up, everybody? Hopefully you're finding us. I did not do a good job of promoting it this week, so I'm sorry.
You've been a little scatterbrained this week.
Well, it's been a weird week, and you guys kind of mentioned it.
Is it
on
the
your
Avs
show.
hangover?
No, I just the Dallas Star. Look, I would say, and you tell me where you lie. I wanted to start with the Nuggets, but we'll start with the Avs since they're out of things. I think there's a bit of sadness at the Avs losing because I think it closes the book on this current. I think it closes the book. I mean, Nico's already gone, right?
Right.
So that core is about to evolve. Now it can evolve for better things. I want to remind people that the team that won the cup in 1996 looked very different in 2001. So changing the core, or however you want to put it, is not a big deal. But I feel like you have no choice. And again, you've already made a move to do so by trading Miko, but you have no choice to evolve this team somehow. And I wouldn't be worried about it if they had their draft picks, if they had money to spend, but they don't have either. So this is where it gets interesting, and it kind of makes me sad.
Well,
So what do you think of that?
This, and I think you're brushing up against this. And I'm not even going to try to pretend I understand the NHL salary cap because to me it's the craziest salary cap of all of them. That it basically floats and it's day by day. There's never been a league you're happy maybe one game a big star's out because you get a little relief for one day. Maybe you can bring up two guys, whatever. But um, the excitement and the joy that we saw seeing Gabe Landeskog come back, which was fantastic, and he looked good. It was kind of neat to see in the line, shaking hands, how much all the Dallas Stars thought about him. And I mean, I thought that was real cool. And he and Miko at the end of it and stuff. And Duchesne saying, man, we got to hang out this summer and, so on and so forth. But that's a big salary that just goes back on your team if he's healthy and 100% and on the squad. And as you said, with no draft picks, it is. And listen, you're still going to have to pay. There's still some free agents you've got to decide on your own team. What's it going to look like? I know the NBA does this once in a while, the old sign and trade deal, then you can pull stuff back. I don't know if many other sports have really ever do anything like that. But not only this could be interesting because there may be another name gone.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Kevin, we'll get to that. We promise you.
Good question, Kevin.
Listen, and here's the thing. Gabe coming back, and I think he's over 6 million. Val's like 6 or 7 million. I was looking at all this the other day because I understand. Like again, here's what the Miko thing's so tricky because all of a sudden he's on pace to go Conn Smythe, right? The guy's just been playing incredible, and he's heated up.
Well, he's had 3 great games,
right? And we've seen him do this before. He's had great series for the Avs and then not been there the next time, or and I try to tell everybody. Miko's on the 4th line in Dallas, so he gets a couple more favorable matchups. He went to the net hard last night, which is, let's be honest, some you and I would have liked to have seen him do a little bit more towards the end of his time in Colorado. He's reborn. He feels like people have doubted him. A fire's lit under his ass, and good for him. I'm not going to hate Mikko Rantanen. I love Mikko. He's a good Av. I would like to see honor him when it's all said and done. Now, I don't know if that's, not real sure that's how this is all going to end with. He came out today and someone got a quote of him saying, yeah, I wanted to go back to Dallas because I wanted to shove it down Colorado's throat. And I want them to see me a lot. And some fans, sent me that stuff over Twitter and was kind of surprised. I don't know why anybody would be surprised. He better feel that way, or he shouldn't be a competitor of any kind if you don't feel that way. I completely understand why he wants to shove it down management's throat.
Saying that you want to shove it down, on one hand, there's going to be some Avs fans that get BO'd and say, why aren't you loyal? And then the other one's going to go, well, that's how we treated him. Listen, something's going to pop, in my opinion, or come out one side or the other that is not going to be real flattering either on McFarland or Mikko. Because let's be honest, that's the battle, isn't it?
Well, it is. And look, McFarland, and everybody gets so mad at me when I write this because they're just convinced I'm trying to tote the company line. I'm not trying to tote the company line. I'm trying to keep the basis for a fair discussion. And if everybody will remember, when they traded Mikko Rantanen, they were trying to hold on to a wild card spot. After they made those trades and got deeper, they went on a run that got them in position to have to face Dallas. Now, the way everything worked out, maybe you'd have wished you just kept your damn wild card spot and would have been playing Winnipeg or whatever. But they did play better hockey after the trade. They did look deeper for a significant portion of the back part of the season. And McFarland made a trade of a player to the Eastern Conference. My guess, and maybe this is what we'll learn about, my guess is McFarland thought to himself, all right, he's going to get traded there. There's no way Carolina's trading for him and not signing him. McFarland probably thought Mikko was going to sign a huge contract, the one he signed with Dallas within days of trading him to Carolina. And then all of a sudden, Mikko is smart. You got to give Mikko credit. His camp is smart. They decided, let's wait and see what's going on. It didn't go well, and he got traded back to Dallas. But Chris McFarland, and we've had fans text in and say, well, you traded him too soon. Well, if he gets hurt, then you can't trade him at all.
Yeah, but you can't. I'm always leery of that. You can't not do something out of fear of an injury.
Well, they weren't playing well when they made the trade. They were a one-line team with nothing on the second, third line, pretty much. So
let me ask you this real fast. Let's play junior Avs GM. You getting rid of McKinnon?
No.
You getting rid of McCarr?
No.
You getting rid of Landeskog?
I don't think you can.
Okay.
If you're a team, would you trade for that questionable knee history?
No, because he's been here so long, his entire career. And although there are some price of towns in Canada that would love him and still remember him, I'm not sure you could. I think an injury like that would be a tough sell. And
it's a heavy contract number for a questionable knee.
Heavy contract number, which is going to probably cost you the first round at least.
Yes.
Something like that. All right. How about Val Nichushkin?
I would shop Val. I would shop Taze. I would shop I think we've hit the guys. I think everybody else is open for discussion. I'm keeping Blackwood. You've got to make decisions on Lindgren, on Brock Nelson. I'm trying to remember who else you traded for. Coyle's already under contract, so you're good there.
Contract?
Say again?
Is Wedgwood under contract?
Wedge, from the chart that I looked at the other day as I tried to discuss with this guy until he just blew up, threw some F-bombs at me and told me I was a cronky guy for not agreeing that they should have kept Rantanen. H is under contract. Wedgwood's is under contract. I believe Drury's under contract. A lot of these guys are under contract. So there you go.
Listen, Nate just looked like a guy that wasn't ready to play big time playoff hockey in the playoffs. I didn't think Drury played very good. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't think Taves was great in this postseason.
Well, I think Makar had one of his worst postseasons as well, but that doesn't mean I also think something's going on with that hand because I think he kept breaking sticks in his efforts to make up for whatever hand injury he was dealing with. I think he was putting too much pressure on the stick, and that's why he kept snapping. But I agree. Taves was fine, but Taves isn't what you need to be for a guy you just gave $6-7 million to, whatever it's going to be. And, you're going to have to do something. That's the reality of what has happened. And look, if you don't keep Brock Nelson, and I'm not real sure I'm passionate one way or another, then you gave up your top prospect and one of the NHL's top prospect to acquire a guy that you kept as a rental. And I told you guys, I think you might have left, but I told the group on our shows, I know DMAC doesn't remember it, and I'm probably the only one that does. But the Avs one time traded a very highly touted defensive prospect named Robin Regeer to the Calgary Flames to get Theo Fleury. You and I were doing the show together that year. And guess what happened? Theo Fleury didn't work out. He basically was a rental. He left, and Robin Regeer went on to be a very, very, very good player. I think he's one of the franchise's top players for Calgary. And the year they got Fleury was I don't think they got to the finals. It was just a bust of a trade. And I'm a little worried that's what Brock Nelson's going to be for Cal Pickard or Cal Ritchie.
Well, we got to keep an eye on Ritchie, right? I think a lot of people were pretty excited about his future.
Well, yeah, because he was a shooter. Well, you ended up missing. And look, I'm not telling anybody I wouldn't love to have Rantanen on. Yeah, I wish Rantanen was still on this team. I absolutely do. But again, the salary cap was so messed up. Like, again, Avs fans are going to be in a dose for what we deal with the Nuggets, where we're constant, and we're doing it right now on these shows. Why don't you have any bench? Why don't you have 3 or 4 guys off the bench that you trust like every other team? Well, that's what the Avs were on their way to if they'd have kept Rantanen too with who they all have. Now, you could have tried to maybe make some of these trades, How about Nichushkin? What are you doing with Nichushkin?
I would shop him.
Because I'm glad he made it through the season, and I really hope his demons are behind him that he was fighting.
Yep.
But I don't know if I could trust that. If I can get value for him, I got him. It's not like he had a great playoff, quite honestly.
No.
Now, again, they seem to be a different team when he's on the ice, and finding another one of him is tough, but you can't afford to have something go wrong.
The year they won it, how was Nichushkin that year? He's pretty good, right?
Oh, yeah, he was Conn Smythe worthy.
But he hasn't done anything since then.
No, he's been really good in the regular season. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I was extremely disappointed in him in this Dallas series. I did not think he played well either,
Right.
And I don't think a lot of guys, but it goes back to, when are you going to move on from Sam Girard? I know he's popular with a bunch of people around town, but the guy is too small for playoff hockey. And by the way, Avs fans, if you're upset about Mikko Rantanen getting loose, most of the time it was against Sam Girard. So I know everybody loves the puck moving defenseman, and that's part of the system, and I understand it. You do want clean breakouts of your zone and on and on and on. But remember, the year they won the cup, Girard got hurt, unfortunately for him, and they had to go with Jack Johnson, and they had more size in the last 2 rounds.
Like the second game of the first round, or wasn't it?
I think it was the St. Louis series, but either way, dude, he was not there for a huge portion of the playoffs, and everybody told me Jack Johnson was going to be too slow. Well, Jack Johnson ended up being a critical part of why you finished off the cup. Scotty, I just think the Avs as a whole have to accept you need to be a little more bigger and physical than you seem to want to be. Now, I thought they made a bit of an admission with that with Ryan Lindgren, and we've already got one person who's upset. I know a lot of people aren't psyched with Lindgren, But, Lindgren played well most of his time here. It's just weird to me, Scotty. Maybe you can explain it with your playing experience. It's weird to me that halfway through the series, some of the guys that were playing well weren't playing well anymore.
Well, here's what happens in a 7-game series. And I was talking to somebody during one of our breaks on the radio show today. There are certain guys that you just got to have in the regular season because the regular season is a slog, and it's 82 games. And I mean, you prepare, but it's nothing like the playoffs. I mean, if I'm playing Tuesday in Minnesota and Wednesday in Chicago, how much am I really preparing for Chicago?
Right.
You're preparing on the fly. If I'm playing, 3 games in 5 nights, am I really preparing for a whole bunch of other stuff, or am I just kind of make sure my stuff's as right as I can, as healthy as I can?
You're surviving, right?
So guys and bodies you've got to have in the regular season. Now you get to the postseason in Game 7, a little trick that a guy does by grabbing a jersey and spinning off it, and all of a sudden you're behind him and he's got the net and he's tipping something in, or he's doing this or that, or the guy likes to float over here and to shoot, on the basketball court, and he likes to float here and hide when you watch the ball, or I like to back cut whenever you turn your head. That's scouted. There's no new tricks. You don't see stuff in May and June like you're going to see in January and February. Stuff don't work like that. And so you say, well, how can guys start a series off good and by the end of the series they've just disappeared? Because they figured them out.
Right.
Listen, the technology now, it's really amazing. And it's why I still will be, and I know this is old man get on my lawn. Well, I will always love 80s and 90s basketball, and I know it was physical, and it probably got too dirty, and I hear on all that. But there wasn't technology. there wasn't video on the benches.
Right. Watching in-game.
You're watching video of a play that you're getting burned on. There's none of that stuff. And so I think just when you see guys disappear in a series, usually it's because they've done figured you out, and you haven't adapted yourself. You're trying to do the same old stuff. I think that's where, and I know Porter's hurt this year, but if you go back, I had somebody, a stat guy, send it to me going into Game 7. So they've now played 3 games since then. Michael Porter in his previous 12 playoff games had scored less than 9 points or less, 8 of the 12. And that was going into that Sunday game. So he had 15 in that Game 7. So now he's only been 8 of 13. Well, now there's 2 more games. So now he's been 10 of 15 games in the playoffs. He's been sub 9 points or less. Well, that means to me, guys have figured you out. Because a lot of them other games, he didn't have the bad shoulder, and he was still getting you 6-8 points. What happened? And I think that's part of that scouting thing we're talking about. Maybe Nichushkin got swallowed up as the playoffs went on a little bit. Maybe McCarr got swallowed up a little bit. I mean, how many deflections? Seemed like he had to shoot over railroad tracks every time he took a shot from the point. And maybe that's why he broke sticks also, Andy. He's going, I got to get this thing there faster and quicker. So he's putting even more oomph onto it and also snapping sticks. I think, did he break 2 or 3?
Oh, I felt like he broke 1 a game. And it always is at a bad time.
And
I could be wrong.
That could be scouting. That'd be good. Hey, when he gets up there, when it comes back from this side, he's always shooting. Because telling you, there's a railroad track of bodies. The railroad
Well, they sucked into a little box. They got skates down. They got sticks down. They weren't letting anything get through.
No. But I just think you get scouted. And that's why, I've always said great players even get better in the postseason because they're able to beat what you're throwing at them and they rise above it. And we'll get into Game 2, which just sucked. The Nuggets Game 2 against Oklahoma just absolutely sucked. But go back Game 1. I mean, all of a sudden you're looking, 3-time MVP, and he drops 42 and 22 on you. Great players get better. And we'll see. We'll see what happens game 3 because, they played a little different, played a little more physical. They had the little Dallas Stars kind of defense. There was like 50 bodies in the lane. You're only supposed to play 5 guys. We'll see what kind of adjustments Denver can make. So great players adjust and can elevate their game. But I'm sure there's been a great player all along the line that's always gotten shocked and surprised and has that one really tough game. It just felt like too many of the stars for Denver, for the Avalanche, had too many tough games to win a series.
No, I agree with you. At least in the tight ones. I'm telling you, the game 2 is the one that I think they should rue. Because you had that 1-goal lead and you couldn't handle it down the stretch, but
Well, but what game 3? You had the 3.5 minutes of penalty in the start of overtime.
Yeah, well, you had 4 in game 7. You didn't score. I don't believe you scored in either one of them, but you're right. 3.5 minutes in overtime to take that one home too. They had their chances. They just couldn't do it. And that's where, and frankly, I mean, you need a Nathan McKinnon who's making the most money, some of the most money in the NHL to put one home in those situations. That's just the reality of what it is. But, look, there's plenty to talk about. We'll see what moves made. You're right. Let's transition over to the Nuggets because that's what I promised people this podcast would mainly be about. So I know I've been dying to talk to you all day, and you and I have talked a couple times. We haven't had a chance to talk about the game. I know that you liked what you saw in game 1, but you've always said, don't show me that you're satisfied come game 2. Is that what we saw yesterday combined with, Oklahoma City just remembering who they are? What do you make of that game 2 yesterday? Well, I don't want to overreact because it is just one game. They got whooped against the Clippers and came back just fine, but
well, it's disheartening because there wasn't any life.
Right.
So to sit there and try to make excuses and Pollyanna the thing, there wasn't any life. I could tell the warden and junior warden were out doing something, so I started the game by myself, and I could tell in the first 3.5, 4 minutes, Murray goes 1 of 3, Joker misses 2, Porter misses 2, like uncontested threes. Murray had 2 or 3 turnovers, had a couple bad turnovers, had two just guys just blew by him on the one end. I said, they ain't ready. They this ain't the same team. And they won game 1 because, listen, they started out hot, got on fire. Oklahoma City roared back, but they never got out of touch. They always stayed in touch. Get up 14, pull it down to 7. Get up 13, pull it down to 6. Get up to 11, pull it down to 6. And you always stayed in touch. And then when Daignault made bonehead decisions on the quick fouls, they opened the door. I wouldn't say Oklahoma City lost the game, but they opened the door, and Denver was close enough to, guess what? They walked right through it. They put zero physicality, and that was another thing. They're getting pounded. I mean, Dort and these guys are up in the chest. Hardenstein are pounding and pushing, and there was no pushback. Gordon was beating dudes up in game 1. He wasn't pushing back. They're leaving, Christian Brown open. We've talked about on the podcast before. He missed 2 threes wide open, and he double clutched both of them. Not many times you're going to see a guy hesitate to shoot and, like he's head faking, but there's no one out to head fake. And now he's automatically thinking about that shot. That ain't going in very often.
No, you're right.
That's about a 13% chance of that thing going in. And just so positive muscle memory takes over. But that was Oklahoma City playing really well, and you deciding, nah, I don't want to. I'm not going to get beat up this game. We did what we wanted to do, which either says you're arrogantly confident that you're going to take care of games 3 and 4 here, and if they do, then we'll look at game 2 and go, guess they knew. I guess they knew. Or they just something left them, and we'll see if they can get it back for game 3 and want to play hard. If they're not willing to play as physical as they played, as physical as they played in game 7 and maybe even game 6 against the Clippers, if you ain't going to be willing to play that physical, you ain't going to beat Oklahoma City. They're going to come in here and win one, if not both games here. Series is over. So you got to step up, put some big boy pants on. And when they punch you in the mouth, it goes back. You got to have the old untouchable thing. They pull out a knife, you pull out a gun. They put one of yours in the hospital, you put one of yours in the morgue. That's the Denver Nugget way, right? That you got to have that philosophy. They don't have it, it's over.
What do you expect? Because so how I titled this thing was the Jekyll and Hyde Nuggets. I was going to talk about it with Nate Kreckman today, and we never really got a chance to. But I'm trying to remember the last team I saw like this, where you usually get a feel for a team, right? Scotty, you and I have covered multiple championship teams in different sports, and I'm not saying that that's what the Nuggets going to prove to be. I give the Nuggets credit for it. They'll get blow out. They happen in the regular season, happened in the last playoff round. You get blown out, and then you come right back like you forgot it, like it never even happened. And then you go and show them that you're there. But I've never seen a team, it feels like, I mean, this team has gotten its fair share of 20-point whoopings this year. And again, here they are, 1-1, going home, doing what they need, all that good stuff. But I just can't get a feel for the inconsistency of this team. And frankly, the guy that's the poster boy to me for that is Jamal Murray. I don't know which Murray's showing up. Like, again, championship game 5 Clippers series, Jamal Murray shows up, but you could go get another trophy. But Jamal Murray of last night or whatever, and even I know he had 21 points in game 1, but dude, that didn't feel like that was free flowing. My shot's going, I'm all cocky, Jamal Murray.
No, Lou Dort bothers him, but no one wants to admit it. And I think there's some guys afraid of Lou Dort, but you got to tattoo that guy. Now he's built like what was the safety that played with Atwater?
Dennis Smith.
He's built like a Dennis Smith. I mean, he looks like he could play safety for the Denver Broncos. He really does. But you got to hit him. A lot of times guys that are big and strong don't like guys to get up in their chili. They're used to being the chili eaters. You got to go in there and eat a little bit of his chili and get him off it. And that includes putting an elbow right back of the rib cage. You're setting a screen and maybe taking an offensive foul early. And say, I've told you a story before. We were playing in Phoenix one time. The late great Maurice Lucas, one of the legendary NBA tough guys. Look him up if you don't believe me. And we're kind of rolling on and having a good time and playing and doing all this stuff, playing against Phoenix. We're one of the hot teams in the East, 7-game road trip. And ball comes up, Maurice Lucas, and it's out like free throw line extended. Ball goes up in the air. Somebody's trying to get possession. Maurice Lucas didn't even go for the ball. He grabbed Danny Roundfield, and it looked like the Big Show. I mean, he just tented him right into the floor, and it's right in front of our bench. And remember, this is the fighting era of the NBA. And right in front of our bench and body slamming, and Danny's late great Danny Roundfield too. Is laying there on his back, writhing in pain. I mean, he ain't. My couch is here in my living room, my island right there. It happened that close. I mean, it ain't a distance for us to get up off that bench and let's go tussle. I'm looking down there. Nary a soul got off that bench because that was Maurice Lucas, right? And Maurice goes over, puts his hands on his knees, bends down his head close to Danny Roundfield. He goes, "Damn, Rounds, that looked like that hurt." But,
well,
hey, I'm telling you, and folks, you don't understand. That was a league you needed less than that to instigate a fight. And there wasn't. I was one of the guys. I had urine running down my pants too because didn't no one step up and go out and challenge Maurice Lucas.
You played with some tough and against some tough SOBs. You were telling me about Kevin Willis. I remember when they traded Kevin Willis to the Nuggets, and you were like, "Yeah, nobody wants it." Kevin Willis, even at his older age, was still the toughest guy on the Nuggets.
Oh yeah, at 40, there wasn't nobody. That was my. I'm on a text thread with Kevin today or this week. In fact, just had some conversations earlier today. No, but there's a mindset, a physicality you talked about with the ass forever. If you ain't afraid to get in front of the net and rough it up a little bit, I told everybody that game the Landeskog score. Everybody's like, "Oh look, he stuck his butt out and he deflected the thing in." Okay, I liked when he's fighting that big defenseman in front of the net and wrestling him like a bear. That right there showed more for me, and that knee was better than scoring. And scoring, he's done it. He's done that 100 times. But we will see. They got blown out in Game 3, and I thought, oh, dude, this series over. And then they went and took it to the Clippers in Game 4.
Well, I hope that's what you.
If they're the team I think they are, I'll be absolutely shocked that they don't come out for Game 4 and really try to take it to them.
Game 3, you mean? I hope.
Game 3. Yeah.
Let's not wait till Game 4, my friend.
Well, let's do it Game 3 and Game 4.
No, I'm with you. I will. Let me ask you about this, because the guy that is the guy that I think might be the poster child of the Nuggets season, I should say, is Russell Westbrook. Because there have been times where, man, get this guy off the team. There's been other times that I love him. Last night was the night where I loved him. He saw Joker getting upset. He went and tried to get the attention on him. He went and tried to get physical. He went and tried to dust some stuff up like you're talking about. He went and started yapping at the referees on Joker's behalf. A couple more dudes need to kind of, to me, they got to figure out a way to keep Joker. I love Joker. I do. But Joker, I think, has got to dial down the conversation with the officials. He's just got to, and I get why he's upset, and I know he's not getting a fair whistle, but you've told us on this podcast 1,000 times, big guys don't get fair calls. So you just got to, Aaron Gordon said, you just got to play through it, man, because they can't have him as flustered and irritated and worried about yapping at the refs as he was last night.
Yeah, and I couldn't tell if he was doing it because they finally got to him, he's flustered, or if he's trying to get his team to fire up just a little
bit.
I
think he'd had enough of everybody. He did a couple times. I noticed you pointed this out to me, which is how I picked up on it. I'm going to throw the bad pass because that's where the hell you're supposed to be. And we're getting our butts kicked anyway. So let me show you where I want you to be with this pass.
Bird used to do a little bit of that too. So, yeah, we'll see. Listen, on the surface, if I'd have told you we're going to go into Oklahoma City and we're going to come back for Game 3 tied 1-1, I think everybody in town would be happy.
There's no doubt. So, and let's be honest, Scotty, had the games flipped, because really, I thought Game 1 would be Game 2. I didn't think it'd be 46 points, but I fully expected OKC to get like a good 20, 25 point win in Game 1.
Yeah.
And it had the Monday game been yesterday, none of us be worried about it right now.
Well, I wasn't there, so I couldn't really get a read, but I talked to a buddy who was there, and he said before the game, I said, dude, they're going to get beat by 20, 25 tonight easy. And he said that was kind of the mellowness of, if you will, the locker room and the warm-ups and everything else. So that was a buddy of mine I trust who was there. He said, man, I looked at them, how they warmed up, what was going on. I said, they're going to get hammered tonight. Now, again, there's a big difference. There really is no difference, but then again, psychologically, to me, there is a difference when you get beat by 40 as opposed to 20.
What bothered me the most was you almost gave up 90 damn points in the first half. Yeah. And the freaking Celtics and Knicks were struggling to score 90 each.
I'll tell you this, kind of funny. So I watched first quarter, and I am Andy Lindahl watching a basketball game. I didn't realize that because for the last 30 years I've worked all these games, and K-Mac decided not to let me this time, but I couldn't hardly watch the games, and so I'm watching it by myself. Started last night. I'm cussing, getting up, leaving the room, going to another room, coming back in the room, and I'm up there standing in bed. I'm going to go tuck Ellie in. And they scored a 3 or whatever, made it 83. click, I hit that button, turn that thing off. I didn't go back to the game. I didn't watch it at all. It's over. But again, I could tell in the first 3 minutes this game they had that was as the legendary Doug Moe would say, that was a no hoper.
All right, then let's take on a tougher topic here. And by the way, we see all the chat people. Appreciate you jumping in. We're not ignoring you. I'm gonna try to get some of these in as best we can, but we love you. Hello, everybody. Hello, T-Bone. Hello, Kevin. We've already had him in there. Damn Care. That's Danny's in there. Corey's in there. Redfish is in there. Well, I heard from Valor Christian Football. T-Bird's in there. Appreciate y'all. Sooner or later, the MPJ thing's going to roost. And as you said, the points are going down every game anyway. I would have no problem benching the guy, but I don't know who you put in his place, and I don't think you can beat this team playing 6 people and Joker all game and all that. So who do you try to squeeze some minutes out of to try to get through this and maybe dial down the MPJ minutes? Is it Strother? I mean, look, man, I was looking at Tyson. I know that Hunter Tyson is – I mean, it probably wouldn't work, but there's some chance of the guy at least shooting. Like, to me, it'd be nice if you could just find one guy who's supposed to have a 3-ball to find a way to hit a few.
Yeah. No, that'd be nice. If he's hurt, and listen, it's the same guy that got 15 in Game 7 and then has gone 2 for 14 in the 2 games in Oklahoma City. I think he was 0 for 4 in the first game, something like that.
Yeah, he only had 2 points night one. He had 2. He was like 3 of 12 from the field.
He was 2 of 10 last night. And like I said, he's same guy got 15 in Game 7. So 3 nights later, or however many days later, 2 days later, he can't. Maybe it's gotten sore, stiffer, whatever. If he's that hurt, because he's not giving you anything defensively, to his own admission, it's tough for him to reach for basketballs. And I'll never question his toughness as far as handling pain, but maybe you sit him out Game 3. Okay, now what do? Do you start Peyton Watson? I would keep Russell Westbrook off the bench. I like that role he's fitting in. I'd still keep him off the bench.
Yeah, you could play him starter minutes. He doesn't have to be the starter because you got to have something off the bench.
You start Peyton Watson. Does that mean now, with size-wise, do you got to go with a Hunter Tyson or Zeke Najee?
Would you go DeAndre or Zeke at this point? Dude, the Zeke thing last night was...
I played DeAndre.
Thank you.
Personally.
I know DeAndre is old and can't maybe always keep up with these guys. He's old for basketball years. He's younger than me, but I just think DeAndre is crafty. I think he's tough, and I think he can grab you a couple rebounds.
Yeah.
Zeke, I want to believe in Zeke, but Zeke had it happen again last night. You've said so many times he's got bad hands. He showed again last night, whether he's dribbling or he's trying to go up and shows the ball to people and just gets it knocked away right. It's just driving me crazy, man.
Yeah, he's for a guy who's supposed to be a pianist, you'd think those guys have great hands. And I think that's if Zeke Najee never becomes the player some people thought he could be, I think it'll be because of his hands, to be honest with you. Because a guy that size, that athletic, fluid, can run, can jump, but in traffic, if you bump him, he's dropping the ball. You can't play him. Not at 6'10", 6'11". So, but maybe you can get him in 4 minutes if Peyton can't play. I mean, not Peyton, but if MPJ can't play. And if MPJ can't hurt you and he's not getting you rebounds, he ain't stopping nobody. So you might as well rest him and see if you can get him 4 straight days off, today, tomorrow, Saturday, and then see how it feels for Game 4.
No, I'm with you. Like, to me, I had originally thrown out there, if you could just get these next 2 games, you don't play them Game 5. Maybe you don't even travel them. I don't know. But yeah, you got to do something. How big is it that they win both in Denver in your mind?
I think they win both in Denver. They win the series.
Okay.
If they split, then I think it's probably a 7-game series.
Okay.
And then you'll have a question. if you win these two games, if you win Friday and Sunday, and you go up 3-1, I think you win the series. If you win the series, David Adelman's your coach, isn't he?
I kind of feel like David Adelman's already your coach, but I could be wrong. How did you feel about the near blunder of having Joker out and almost not getting him back in?
That's small. Here's the problem, and I see why he did it. It's a heck of a gamble with
5 fouls on Joker.
With no timeouts, but you're probably saying get a defense, blah, 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 go for steal, smaller guys, switch everything. I don't know if they were going to foul in that situation right away. And you weren't expecting Shea Gilgeous to get the ball and in 1.5 seconds shoot a layup. I mean, that was a blunder. So you got fortunate on that, but that's, that's a gamble he took it because listen, here's what happened. Maybe they were supposed to foul in that situation.
Right.
And Nicole is so smart, and everybody else, I mean, look what they did. They gave a layup.
I know.
Come on, man. So maybe, instead of giving that layup, Joker fouls somebody, whatever. I don't know. Listen, they got away with it. Things like that are happen. You got to have the balls to do it. You got, and whether you're right or wrong, whether it bites you or not, you live with it. So I don't call it a bad coaching decision. I think people don't really know basketball say it's just a bad decision. It was a gamble. You got away with it. So guess what? It's okay.
All right. How about this question from Chris T? Because Scott played against Bird now as an avid watcher of Joker, I'm curious to see who you think, Scotty, is a more impactful player on the court.
I think they're very similar. Bird's not appreciated enough, in my opinion. And I would say Joker's probably underappreciated by too many NBA fans too. I think Bird's a better pure shooter. I think Joker's a better pure rebounder, but Bird can rebound. I think they both are, top-notch passing, but I think because Bird shot so much, I don't think he had the assist numbers that he did. Neither one of them were great defenders, but both of them played their ass off, and neither of them were real fast. That's a good question. I don't know. I'll put it this way. Celtics don't win three championships without Bird, and Denver doesn't have any without Joker. How about that?
All right, Ninoslav P, this is a new name, so we'll jump in with this. What about Strother? Would you play Strother? How much are you looking at Strother? We've got a number of people, T-Bone, Damn Care, Red, a lot of people asking about Strother. And look, again, I always default to Strother when I talk about these things as a fill-in for MPJ or whatever, because he was supposed to be a three-point shooter. I just haven't seen it yet.
Well, here's the funny thing. If you remember before the season started, I said Strother's a key. And he's got to be a guy. He can't play like a second-year player. He's got to play above his match. He said he needs to be a guy off the bench that averages, 10 to 14 points a game. He showed times that he could do that, but I've never seen a guy that's deemed a shooter miss open shots as badly as he misses them. I mean, he'll miss some shots that'll hit backboard first. You're like, what the? But he's got a natural instinct to score. He's still got too much college game in him in the sense that he goes into the basket and falls down and wants to create talk. And you say, well, Scott, everybody does that. Yeah. But the difference is everybody else creates contact and then falls back and shoots and gets the call. He just goes straight in and falls down thinking he's going to get that college call. And he's got to learn if he's a scorer in this league. I mean, go look at Shea. Have you ever seen Shea when he gets in the paint ever not have a shoulder in somebody? Do you ever see Harden get into the paint that doesn't always have a shoulder into somebody? He goes into the paint hard. He's faster than I think you realize. But he hadn't learned to dip and then fade. Throw it up, try to get an and one. He's got to learn that. He still plays too much like a college guy, but I still got hope for him. But here's another guy. And this is what gets me. And I have to go back, and maybe there's somebody watching right now would know. Does Gonzaga play a lot of zone?
I don't know.
Because I'm thinking you come from that program, you probably understand a little something about defense. He can't stay in front of nobody.
Yeah, Scotty, I don't know, man. When you know how it is, when you're the scorer, I feel like you're not asked to stay in front of people sometimes. So, look, I think I've always thought this was a fascinating topic, and maybe we'll leave it on this one.
You know what? He'd be a guy that you can think of. You know what? Keep Peyton Watson off the bench. Keep Russ off the bench. Put Jordan in for just a few minutes here and there. 3 in the first, 3 in the second. Or 4 if you can get away with it, and 4. And let Strother start.
All right.
Let Michael Porter rest for a game.
Well, and at least at home, you would think you think Strother would shoot better at home, right?
That or he went down his leg because he's still young.
Real quick, I've had this conversation with Leggy, and it always is fascinating to me. He tells a story of a buddy that went to a Wayne Gretzky. His kid went to a Wayne Gretzky camp. And Wayne Gretzky, at the end of the camp, just dumped a bunch of pucks out there. And maybe you've heard it. If you haven't, we'll tell it for everybody else. But he dumps a bunch of pucks on the ice and says, all right, go play. And the kids are like, what do you mean go play? Who's coach? What positions are we? What's it? And Wayne's like, just go play. Just go play. And so Wayne would go on to talk about how robotic we've made players, and because they start as kids and they're never not in a league. Like you and I grew up, at least I did. I went on a bunch of travel teams, and I played plenty of sports all throughout the summer. Guess what? It was me and my buddies at the park playing hoops, or me and my buddies at, the park playing football, or whatever it was we were doing. Mainly it was football and basketball. But I just think it's funny that we, and I thought Oklahoma City showed it the other night when they went into robot mode of just fouling so quickly on that one play after the Shea drive where Caruso, like you ain't even going to let a second or two run off the clock because you're just so robotically going to foul like you were told. I just have always thought it's an interesting discussion where I know it's great these kids play more games, but I think it leads to robotic players, and I think it played itself out that way the other night.
Well, and I watched a lot of video because they only play soccer. How American soccer is, travel teams, pay the thing, and European, it don't pay anything. It's free, and it's practice, skill work. And really, you start to get like your 14. I'll give you a funny story on the same Wayne Gretzky scale. So it's my first spring. I just got hired as the new girls basketball coach at Arapahoe High School. And so I talked to him. I said, well, what anybody uses the gyms on Tuesdays and Thursdays or something, or Wednesday nights, or whatever it was? They go, no, if you want to open it, you just got to be there. And I said, I had keys. I can lock it up and do all the stuff. I said, cool. So all the girls that had gone out the year before, invited them. I said, hey, we're having an open gym. Just going to have, get you guys out there and play a little bit. Chance the rules. I couldn't coach. I couldn't run a practice, but I could open the gym for them. So we get there and kids out there shooting and somebody goes, and I brought a book. And so I'm sitting up like by the 4th row in the stands. I'm just going to read a book while they're playing. The gym's going to be open an hour and a half. And they go, can we play a game? And we go, yeah, play. Go back to my book. What's the teams? I go, well, pick them yourself. Huh? How do we do that? I go, shoot at the top of the court, the top of the key. First 2 guys make it is first pick.
The captains.
Yeah, the captains pick 4 girls with you. I think we had 10. Because there's going to be 5 on 5, or it might have even been 8. There's going to be 4 on 4, but whatever. I sit there and pick the team. Get the teams. I get pennies out for them because when I go in shirts and skins, right? So I get pennies out. Read my book. Whose ball? I go. Same thing. One of you shoot, make it, you get it, miss it, the other team gets it. Oh, and first of all, every time I'm given this piece of idea, it's like a light bulb and the most brilliant
It's the
thing.
first time they've heard it.
Most brilliant thing I've ever said. Boom, and then I got it. I get back up there, climb up there, grab my book, and they're all looking at me. Aren't you going to ref? I go, no. Well, who's going to make the call? I said, you call it on yourself. Call your own fouls. If you foul somebody, I said when I played, it's really funny how basketball changed. When I played, you fouled, you called it on yourself. And then it became, guy with the ball call, and then that's when all the fights started, right? Because I didn't foul you, whatever. I said, call it yourself. I said, I used to play that if you fouled somebody, you fouled somebody. So you guys you call it yourself. Okay, so I start playing. I loved it. I've never seen this in a pickup game to this day. They're playing. One of the kids pick up a ball, holds it. Defender gets up on him. And he can't throw it. 5 seconds, our ball. And the other girl just handed her the ball. And I go, that's the first time in my life I've heard of a 5-second call called
in pickup.
In a pickup game. But I didn't say anything. I just sat there and read my book. But yeah, they don't know how to just play.
Because they're in leagues every damn minute of their life, man.
Yep.
They are never. I get why they don't want to play. They're constantly playing something for somebody. It's all organized. They don't even have time to go and just do it on their own at the park. We've got a million hoops up at the top of the hill, by the school where I live. There's never any kids on those hoops. Never. Because I'm sure they're burned out on their year-round leagues or whatever it is going on.
Growing up, having hoops like that close to your house.
You kidding me?
Oh, well, here's the funny thing, and I had a coach tell me this. This was when I was doing some AAU stuff, so I was part of the problem. Although I would take the young kids, we didn't care if we won. I was trying to teach them how to win, play the right way, get skill developed. But coach told me, he said, the AAU, here's the worst part about it, is you go to these tournaments and you go into a tournament, 3 weeks out of the 4 in the summer, 3 weekends. He said, you're playing guaranteed 5 to 6 games every weekend. Losing is not a big deal because you got a game at 3:00. You lose that one, oh, guess what? We got a game at 5:00. And they play so many games, they become numb to losing. They don't have to stew in it. They don't have to think about it. They don't have to self-correct from things they didn't do right in the first game. They because here's another game. Roll out the ball, get up, down. And after a while, like you said, not many coaches, and here's another thing. High school's stupid, pushing all these kids for the AAU guys because they limit all the rules on how much you can practice with your kids in the off season and stuff. So now you got these AAU coaches. They're just going out there and guess what? They ain't teaching no defense.
No, they're getting paid, man.
No one teaching how to do any defensive drills or what you got to do. And so now all you do is guys going up there and they're not learning how to play team basketball. They're learning how to play me basketball.
Well, you get a good scorer and you hear Kevin wants us to answer this. You get a good scorer and then you just build the offense through him. Lacrosse got the same problem. Clear out, let my one guy go. So Kevin says, I don't appreciate how Jokic dismissed Coach Malone. At least that's how it seemed to me. I don't think Jokic dismissed Coach Malone, Kevin. I mean, basically what Josh Kroenke told you was he was mad at both Malone and Booth because they hadn't talked to each other for 2 months when at the very beginning of the season, basically it was told to Malone and Booth, you guys better get along, and then they didn't. Now, do I think the team maybe had enough of getting screamed at by Malone? Yeah, I do. And I think it manifested itself where Coach Malone would demand 5, 6, 7, 8 different things in a post-game press conference, and then they wouldn't show up and do it. There used to be here, and Scotty, I don't know about you. And Kevin, I've covered sports for 25 years. I watched a Mike Shanahan get dismissed that I never thought would happen. Never ever in my life did I think Mike Shanahan would get let go. I watched Josh McDaniels, who I knew was not long for that world, get let go. I've been around for a few changeovers, I guess is my point. Saw this happen with the Avs a number of times too. Okay. When a coach starts telling you he needs things after a game and then they don't do it the next game, if Coach Malone said something in the championship seasons and beyond, they would respond usually trying to address his concerns he voiced from the podium. But when he starts complaining about it all down the stretch and he's yelling and rage time out, and he would take these rage times out and scream at they're not going to respond to that after a while.
Well, I've said this on the podcast. Al Davis, I saw in the NFL films, he thinks the shelf life of a coach is 10 years.
Yep.
Because after a while, the voice it just becomes noise. This was Malone's 10th year. I wouldn't say Joker dismissed Malone. They asked him what happened, and was he told? He said, yeah. He said, you'd have a discussion with Josh Garney. He said, yeah, he told me what it was going to do, but it wasn't a discussion.
Right.
So I don't know if that's dismissive. I didn't know if you wanted Joker to throw a tantrum and pout and decide not to play. He wants to play. And you know what? He lifted his game up. Everybody else lifted their game up. And you know what? If they don't win those 3 games, listen, they won 3 in a row to end the season. 2 of them were on the road. And Sacramento's not an easy place to play in, and Houston's not an easy place to play in. And you went and handled business both times. And then, oh, by the way, took care of Memphis, a playoff team in the middle, and handled them handily. So they responded, and sometimes teams do that. Jim Tracy came in for, was it Clint Hurdle he replaced? All of a sudden,
yes.
All of a sudden, pitching got a little better. The fielding got a little better.
They had their best regular season, I believe, in history when Jim Tracy took over.
And then got to the postseason. So, listen, Fiery's not good. Don't cry for Malone. You got a whole bunch of millions of dollars still coming to him, so he's going to be okay, and he'll be a guy whose name's going to be up for whatever job opens, next.
Oh yeah, he'll be hired this cycle. There's no doubt about it.
Well, there's only one team available now. There's a possibility that Doc Rivers could get axed in Milwaukee, I'm hearing. But right now it's only Phoenix is still open.
From the Australia, it just says, love from Australia. I just want to say thank you to you, Scott Hastings, for the love of the game. I watched Denver casting Nuggets. He watches the Denver broadcast, the Nuggets broadcast every game. Too bad we are not covering the playoffs. The commentators are biased. Yeah, it sucks you guys can't do that.
Even before the game got out of control, I thought that was a very pro Thunder broadcast in game 2.
Yeah, I mean, I like Iron Eagle, but let's be honest about it again. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is their big new. They want to see the Thunder and the Wolves. You know that, because the Nuggets are playing good physical basketball, but it's not open scoring. It was a tough, ugly game the other night, and they won it. And that's basketball, right? That's just how it goes sometimes. It
still scored 121.
Listen, dude, listen to me. I'm not you listen. It doesn't matter. I turned on SportsCenter today. The Nuggets picked the right time to get their butts kicked. They can't quit talking about the Knicks. They are you'd have thought the Knicks Celtics was Game 7 of the NBA championship. That's all they want to talk about is Knicks Celtics.
Isn't it funny that every other series is going every other day, and Boston and New York, they have to give them 2 days in between two and
well, they're so far from each other geographically.
Yeah,
they need the rest.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, not like San Francisco, Minnesota.
No.
Which is a 2.5 hour, 3 hour flight.
No. They're loving this. The SportsCenter is beside itself. This wasn't the Eastern Conference final. You know what I love? I think Indiana is going to sweep in and just ruin it all for all of them. That's a tough team now. And Halliburton ain't no joke. So, but anyway. All right. We'll let everybody go. A lot of new people here tonight. Kevin, thanks for checking in. Fan, thanks for checking in. Chris, good to hear from you. T-Bone, Care Bear, Redfish, all our people. We love you all, man. We love you all. Steve's coming in late. I think this league is anti-Nuggets. Yeah, man, it's Steve, it feels that way sometimes, but you got to remember this league's built on I still think they care about their big market ratings until they get to a certain point where they know everyone's going to watch it. So our guy Marty's in there. Thank you, Marty. So anyway,
Is that
thank all you guys. What's that?
To dig these late night shows. Can I say something? This is the latest I've stayed up in 4 days.
Yeah, it's my fault. So come on, baby. I stay up till 1 o'clock. Look at you. Who are you looking at? Are you going old man? What are you doing? Are you just looking around and
Well,
where is it? Oh, where's Mice? You get my walker. Where's Mom? Mom, come get me out of the chair. What's going on with you?
I was looking for my water, and then I was looking, okay, when I get done with this, I got to put the dog up. No, he's put up. What do I got? Oh, I can just go up and climb in bed. That's what I can go do.
Well, then I'm not going to prevent it. Good night, everybody. All right, there's a Nuggets game Tuesday, so we'll aim for Wednesday, and we'll talk to you then. Take care, everybody.